I also feel like just continuing to learn. This AI thing is so interesting to me.
Yes.
And, SHRM actually has a new certification that they just introduced at this conference. That's around AI for HR professionals. And I can't wait to go back and plead my case to go
Yeah.
through that certification and just continuing to learn and grow. And then, of course, develop the people that,
Yep.
I have a responsibility to make sure that they've got those meaningful careers that they're able to continue to grow.
This is Inspiring Women, and I'm speaking with Tiffany Gamblin today, and she is an HR leader at Paycom, and she is here in Chicago at the SHRM conference. And so we're going to be talking today a little bit about Tiffany's leadership journey and what she does at Paycom in terms of taking care of her team members. And then we're also going to be talking about the future of what it means to be an HR leader and some of the things that are going on in that organization. So, Tiffany, thank you for being on Inspiring Women.
I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
You are welcome. Okay, you said you came in from Oklahoma City, which
Mhm.
I don't know my geography, but that was more than a drive in
It
terms
was
of
more than a drive.
more
Yes.
than a drive in
Yep.
getting here. So, and it's the end of the day, so we're a little bit punchy. It's been a long day for both of us. So, why did you come to the SHRM conference? What are you learning here today?
Well, the SHRM conference is kind of the event of the year in terms of HR conference and the body of knowledge and the networking. Of course, our organization also has a big display in the expo hall, so we
Yes.
show up in a really big way. But it's a great opportunity to learn, to continue to grow our skill set, and I really feel like every time that I come to the annual conference, I walk away with things I can put into place in our organization. So I love that, having action steps that you can immediately put into place when you get back to the office. That's
Right.
always really important. Meeting great people. Of course, they always have wonderful venues and
Yeah.
and cities that they have the conference in. So great food and just a good time.
Yep, yep. And learning is everything. So let's talk about you, Tiffany. So, here you are, you're an HR professional. You've been an HR professional and a leader for a decade now. And so maybe tell us a little bit about your job today and what Paycom does.
Sure. So I am the director of HR business services at Paycom, and that
Okay.
encompasses a lot of things that kind of go under that umbrella. So I oversee our HR business partner team, employee relations, the investigations. I also lead our HR compliance group. So that's in charge of all the things compliance, our immigration
Laws,
function.
all of those
Yep.
things. Yep.
Sits in that group, and then our pre-employment group. So who all of these individuals that we're hiring for great jobs at Paycom that go through that process to get them in the door. And then I also oversee what we call our employee services group. And so,
Okay.
one of the benefits that we offer at Paycom is a really safe campus. So, we have a big passion for ensuring that people can come to a workplace where they feel safe. We
Hmm.
also have daily catered lunches. And so, my
Oh,
group is
wow.
responsible for making sure that we've got a good variety of food options for our employees every day. So, it's a lot of different things that kind of fall into that umbrella. But one of our, kind of taglines, I always say, if we had a family crest for my team, it would be happy to help. And that's really who we try to be, is just serving the employees and making sure that they're having a really great
How
experience.
many team members in Paycom? And tell me a little bit about the company and what it
Sure.
does for listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So Paycom is a global HCM solution
Okay.
organization. So we were one of the first that was fully online in terms of payroll. We have a wide suite of products that
Okay.
can support HR professionals and businesses, really in everything they need from an employee life cycle. So
Yep.
from hire to retire.
Hmm.
And our purpose is to simplify the lives of employees.
Yep.
And so the software that we provide, we work really hard to make sure that it's very easy to use, that it helps to ensure that processes are simple, that employees have access and can own their data. So we believe really heavily in an employee usage strategy.
Okay.
So if there's something in the system that you as an employee can do yourself, we're going to encourage you to do that.
Yep.
And the software helps facilitate that.
So, Tiffany, one of the largest issues that it seems for, HR professionals today is employee engagement.
Sure.
And really, we've seen just, the changes in the workforce in terms of diversity of whether it's Gen Z or the baby boomers. And it's just, really like different sides of all kinds of name a coin,
Right.
many different sides of the coin.
Absolutely.
There's issues of culture, there's issues of who wants to come to the office or not. There's flexible work, there's hybrid work. So how are you navigating, all of those variety of issues? And do you feel that you do have an engaged workforce? And if you do, what are your secrets?
That's a great question. So not to kind of toot our own horn, but I do feel like we have a great engaged workforce. In fact, we've won the Gallup Workplace Excellence Award 2 years in a row.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so that's been a really intentional effort of showing up in a big way for our employees and providing the types of resources and support that allow them to really succeed in their whole life.
Okay.
So we're passionate at Paycom about taking care of the whole person, not just the person that comes to work every day.
Yep.
And so that's one of the things that really has helped us to move the needle from an engagement standpoint.
Hmm.
And then we're constantly working to help our employees understand what's expected of them at work, their roles, responsibilities, expectations, what are their metrics, how are they measured, what does success look like?
Yep.
And I think that is really critical, a key piece in helping employees to understand how their work is meaningful
Yep.
and helping the organization achieve its goals.
Yep.
So if we can close the gaps there and
Yep.
help our employees to recognize how what they do every day moves the needle, it drives that engagement and people believe in the mission of the organization and what we're doing.
So, again, so like in that changing of, what people expect out of work. I mean, it's just my view that, people want to do a good job
Mhm.
at work. And some people have, that means something different to everybody, but it's less that people are just showing up for a paycheck. It's more that they want to
Mhm.
believe in something. And that strikes me as something that is trending to be even truer the younger
Yes.
the part of the workforce. So
Yeah.
what are some of the issues that you're grappling with or that you see, and what solutions do you provide to sort of capture that meaningful experience for an employee?
Well, I love what you said about believe in the work. That's one of our core values at Paycom is belief. So we
Mhm.
work really hard to live by those values that we have with our employees every day. But we actually have, I think, 5 or 6 different generations right now in our workforce
Yeah,
at
oh my
Paycom.
goodness, we're all yeah, and I know what side of the coin I'm on there. So
And that's okay. So it's hard for us because there's not really a one size fits all approach. We have to appeal to our demographic and find, good solutions that will work for a variety of generations and speak to them.
Mhm,
And so we do that through surveying our employees to understand what they really want, what they're looking for.
mhm,
Are our benefit plans that we offer being utilized?
mhm.
Do they speak to our employee population?
Yep.
I can give you an example. We had done a survey of things benefit offerings that our employees would like to see, and overwhelmingly the number one response was pet insurance.
Oh,
And I would have never thought pet insurance
right.
would be the thing. And, that was an easy win for us to be
Sure.
able to implement that type of program. So I think we have a history of asking for that feedback and then doing what we can to implement. We heard you. These are the things that we're able to do based on your feedback. Of course, you can't do everything, right?
Right.
And so, but being transparent about what you can do, that you're listening to the feedback, you hear it,
Mhm.
and you want to make sure that you can move forward in a positive way.
Yeah, Tiffany, where this podcast is being put on and sponsored by Transcarent, which is a one place for health and care. And some of the things at Transcarent that we think about is one of the largest issues facing employees generally is the cost of health and care,
Mhm.
and really wanting to get access to high quality healthcare, but also at an affordable price. So, and we've seen this start to become literally an employment issue.
Mhm.
Do I have the right benefits
Right.
coverage so that I can afford to take care of, not just myself, but also my family? So, when you talk about the whole person
Mhm.
and you're thinking about that, what do you see as some of the issues that your team members are facing, and how do you go about solving for those?
Sure. So I think some of the issues that our team members are facing, is probably not news to anyone on the podcast or even to you, of course, that people are feeling overwhelmed, burnt out. There's a lot going on in the world, at work, a lot of stressors. When we think about, inflation and just kind of the economic climate, there's a lot going on for people. And
Hmm.
so one of the things that became really apparent to us is making sure we offered services that support their well-being in terms of mental health
Yes.
and an off the shelf EAP, call a number, hopefully somebody helps. That's not cutting it
Right.
anymore. And
Right.
so employers really have a responsibility to make sure that they're clearly communicating those benefits that are available. They're accessible, that, at Paycom, we have well-being advisors on site. And
Okay.
so our employees, if they're feeling stressed or they're needing, just support kind of navigating whether it's a work challenge or a home challenge, we have people there. They can just go and sit down and talk to them.
Yep.
And here's what I'm, struggling with. Do you have any ideas? And, even if they need additional long-term support, then those well-being advisors are able to match them with therapists within
Yep.
our health insurance network
Yep.
that are accepting new clients. And so they can help them kind of facilitate those needs. And they also are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to, financial wellness, when it comes to physical wellness. We have a gym on site, we have
Yep.
different classes that we offer to our employees. So we really do try to look at all of those different angles that go into employee wellness.
Yep.
And then one of the things that has been a Cadillac for our company for quite a long time is we have a dollar health insurance option.
Okay.
And
What is that?
it's a PPO plan. It's $1 a pay period
Oh,
for employee only coverage. It has a great deductible. And so it's a really robust plan. So for our employees, they have great affordable coverage, and
okay.
they can take advantage of those preventative medicine needs, of those, just needing to take care of themselves
Yep.
when it arises,
Yep.
and not have it be a financial burden. So we're really proud of those programs that we're able to
Yeah,
offer.
Tiffany, you're hitting on some of the things that I think are, critical in terms of the benefit space and just like affordability, access, and then also, just like options like mental health. I
Mhm.
mean, that hasn't gone away in
Right.
terms of a need, and providing options that are available for team members. That's wonderful that you're thinking about that. Tiffany, I'd like to talk a little bit about you, if you
Sure.
don't mind.
Yeah.
So, here you are as a leader in the HR space. Is that what you wanted to be when you grew up? So like, how did this come about? Give us a little bit of your leadership journey.
Honestly, for a long time growing up, I really wanted to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
And, I loved animals. And I actually went through a program in high school. I started working for a veterinarian, and I really was thankful for the opportunity to realize that is not the glamorous life I thought it was going
Cats
to
and dogs
be.
were not cutting it for you.
No. And so very quickly I was like, "Oh my goodness, this was my whole plan. What am I going to do now?" And my mother-in-law is actually in human resources, and so she was the one who really encouraged me. You should look into this. I think you would be really good at this. I think you have that type of personality and you care about people. And so I started to pursue that. And my first foray into HR really was in benefits.
Uh-huh.
And I just fell in love with it. Just the way that organizations could support and care for employees. And if you think as an HR professional, when an employee has questions about benefits, it's usually because something has happened, right?
Yep.
There's a life event, or
And it's confusing. And
yes.
these things are hard to navigate. And it's
Yes.
obviously an area of simplicity is everything.
Yes, and so you have this really unique opportunity there as an HR professional to kind of meet them where they're at, help them understand and make choices, help them feel calm about what's going on in their life, and that can then really start to build a relationship from the employee in the HR department that will help down the line. They
Hmm.
helped me with this benefit concern. I'm going to talk to them about my manager issue or
Hmm.
my workplace dynamic that I'm trying to navigate through, and so I started heavy in benefits, and I did that for probably the first 7 to 10 years of my HR career. And I came to Paycom about 9 years ago,
Okay.
and so have done the benefits there. I've moved into this current role, and just continue to be excited about being exposed to more areas of
So
HR.
you start in benefits. So, it's your mother-in-law who sort of says like, hey, maybe this is for you. You try it out. You find out that you have a natural ability to do it well. When did leadership become part of what you are and what you decided like, I'm good at this. I am now a leader. When did that become your part of your professional journey?
So maybe like many of your listeners, it wasn't something that I had kind of set out to say, I'm going to lead people and that's
Uh-huh.
what I want to do. I had the opportunity about a year after coming to Paycom to move into a manager role. And it was one of those kind of scary, exciting things
Mhm.
of, okay, well, here we go and let's see what we can do. And very quickly, I just realized how passionate I was about developing people and making sure that they had a great foundation from an HR perspective. My
Mm.
goal is to create an environment where everybody wants to work with me until they're 70, right? Then they can
Yeah.
retire and go off into,
70. Oh my goodness. Wow, Tiffany, you're a
much fun.
okay, okay, okay. Happy to help.
Yes, because it's so much fun. You just don't want to retire. But if they do go somewhere else, that they have this really great foundation from an HR perspective, and they can make this impact wherever they go,
Mhm,
right? They have
mhm.
these skills. And so I found that I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed leading people and challenging them and coaching them, and growing a team that could have success, and seeing people kind of move up in the ranks in the organization, and even to achieve things they didn't think they could achieve,
Yep.
or to solve problems they didn't think they could solve. And it's been just wonderful to have that opportunity to do that,
Mhm,
and to continue to move up in the organization,
mhm.
and be able to make that impact.
So Tiffany, as you know, as an HR leader and as somebody who has, gone through leading a tremendous number of people, building a culture that is award winning, for the engagement that you have, having led through a pandemic, which had a tremendous
Yes.
amount of employee issues, lots of complexity. If you can now think about what you're doing from a position of the future. What does the future of work look like? What are the things that are on your mind today that you're planning for the workforce of tomorrow?
So I really think, and it's been a hot topic at the SHRM conference already, but just the impact of AI on
Uh-huh.
the way that we do our work, and not just from an HR perspective, but really from any employee perspective, any specialty perspective. One of the big kind of key focuses is, AI plus HI
Yep.
equals ROI, right?
o-
You're kind of hearing that all over the
Okay, I have to
conference.
write that one down.
Yeah.
Okay. What's
And
what's the HI?
it's the artificial intelligence and human intelligence is
Okay.
where you get the
Of
return
course.
on investment,
Of
and
course.
I love that, because I do know sometimes there's this concern that, AI, it's going to replace our jobs, and it's never going to be robot resources,
Yep.
right? There's always going to be a human element to that. And so I think really diving into that, really trying to understand that, especially from an HR perspective, of how we can leverage that technology to help us be more efficient and more effective,
Hmm.
versus being kind of stuck in the old ways of thinking. And this seems scary, and I don't really want to go here. That it's a responsibility for every leader to understand how that can help support and enhance the organization
Hmm.
that they're in.
Hmm.
And so I think that's really the future, continuing to navigate the employee wants and desires. I think finding a balance there, and making sure too that as a company, you're kind of firm in your beliefs. You
Yep.
understand your core values, who you are. At Paycom, we're a on-site organization. So
Yep.
we very much believe that we're better when we're in the office together. We can collaborate, we can problem solve, we can grow together. And that was missing during the pandemic,
Hmm.
because people were so isolated. But that's who we are. And that
Yep.
doesn't work for everybody, and that's
No, it
okay.
it doesn't, but that you're clear about that and that you put that as sort of part of your core values and so no one is confused
Right.
about that. I think that, organizations are figuring out their ways, but the sooner that they can get to that clarity and putting those values forward in terms of this is who we are, and you obviously have the recognition to back it up and employee surveys to back up what you're doing. I think that's tremendous. Tiffany, I want to go back to you as a leader, not just the great work that you're doing at Paycom. And if you think about, again, sort of this leadership level that you are, you've already described so a bit about the workforce of the future. What about leadership in terms of just the leader that you are and what, you intend for yourself professionally? In your role, it's your job to advise everybody,
Mhm.
all the thousands of team
Sure.
members that you have. But how do you think about it for yourself in terms of do you still have leadership aspirations that you are looking forward to in the future? And if so, would you mind sharing some of those?
Of course, absolutely. So, of course, I want to continue to provide a really positive impact on the organization. I would love the chance to lead Paycom's HR department today. We have a phenomenal Chief Human Resource Officer, Jennifer Kaszewski, who I've worked under for the past 6 years, has been an amazing mentor, taught me so much. And so I always joke she's got about another 20 years before she retires. years. I still have a lot to learn from
Well,
her.
you must be 50 then because I guess we're going to 70 at Paycom, just saying.
And so I would love the opportunity to lead the department if that's what's right for the
Mhm.
company and right for the employee population. But I also feel like just continuing to learn. This AI thing is so interesting to me.
Yes.
And SHRM actually has a new certification that they just introduced at this conference. That's around AI for HR professionals, and I can't wait to go back and plead my case to go
Yeah.
through that certification and just continuing to learn and grow. And then of course develop the people that
Yep.
I have a responsibility to make sure that they've got those meaningful careers that they're able to continue to grow. So for me it's being able to do the work that I love with the people that I get to work with every day. So I'm very lucky to have really good of both of those.
Well, it's also interesting and I think quite exceptional. It speaks to, who you are, that not only are you thinking about developing employees, but it's important to you professionally to be continuously learning and taking on new innovation and making sure that that's part of your HI with AI,
Mhm.
and I'm sure there's a lot of ROI. I learned, I took a note on that one. Tiffany, as we close out on inspiring women, one of the things that's always important to me is to just share learnings that maybe you had as you in your 10 years of leadership in the HR space, lessons that you might give to others. Not everyone has to go through the same sort of like
Mhm.
difficult journeys to be at the level of leadership that you currently are. What advice would you give to others so that people can get there faster,
Sure.
and also be, like another Tiffany, in HR, not you specifically,
Yeah.
but
I think and I know I've talked about it a lot today, but I think the core values thing is really important. Knowing who you are as a person and what's important to you, because it's going to allow you to show up really authentically no matter what interaction you're in. And so one of mine is really making sure that people feel like I care about them.
Mhm.
Whatever's going on, I want to make sure that you feel like I care about you. And even if that's an employee coming and they have, they're complaining about something that they don't like. Maybe it's the lunch that we had that day, right? And just really in that moment, even though that could be frustrating, even though I feel like I've got a thousand other things to do, that's the most important thing right in that moment, is to listen to that employee, make sure that they feel cared for. So that will help. It will help women show up in their authentic way if they are really grounded in what those core values are. And then I think just being courageous and being adaptable and how you bring that forward,
Mhm.
knowing your audience and your decision makers, and finding the moment, whether that's one-on-one or whether that's in a group, championing each other. It's okay
Mhm.
to build a network of strong women in the organization to say, what do you think about this idea? Do you like that idea? Great. It would really be helpful for me if in this meeting you could say, hey, that's a great idea. And what about this? Right.
Can you just talk on that? Yeah, and can you tell us about one of those moments where
Yeah.
you actually did that and made that happen for yourself?
Oh, absolutely. So, and I'm not ashamed of it, because I think that the more we can build each other up and kind of have that
Yes.
network, the better. But I absolutely have gone into. I can actually give you an example that's a little bit different. But I was in a meeting, and with our previous head of HR and our head of legal and another HR manager, and I was the only female in the room.
Mhm.
And so we were kind of, I don't remember the problem we were trying to solve, but I have a lot of ideas. I'm an idea person. What about this? What about this? And they're not all good, believe me, I know. But I had brought forward an idea and it kind of got shot down right away. That's not going to work. And so then we kind of went around and we were talking, and, probably about 30 more minutes. And then the other HR manager was like, well, what if we did this? And it was the same idea that I had at the beginning of the
Oh.
conversation. And so
Oh.
it really had a great outcome, because our head of legal turned around and was like, you know what, that is a great idea. And Tiffany had that idea at the beginning of this
That's
conversation. So we're
excellent.
going to go with that. And so, this is someone who's a male, but's a huge ally. And I think it's important to find those. But I absolutely have gone into and kind of strategized, hey, what do we want to get out of this meeting? Like, this is the outcome that we're looking for. Okay, if I bring up this point and you bring up this point, and then we kind of support each other, hopefully we can be successful and move the needle in the right direction. And I think the other piece is just asking for feedback and being open to that,
Mhm.
because as women, sometimes you can get tough feedback that's really hard to hear. And sometimes it's what you really needed to hear.
Yes.
And so continuing to offer that up, but from a work relationship standpoint, the more you're asking for feedback, the more natural it becomes to give that feedback,
Mhm.
right? So it starts to go both ways. So
Mhm.
that's a couple of thoughts from me on how to move the needle there.
That they're fantastic thoughts, and I really appreciate you sharing that personal story with us. So this has been an excellent, inspiring women conversation. I have been speaking with Tiffany from Paycom, and Tiffany, thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This has been an episode of Inspiring Women with Laurie McGraw. Please subscribe, rate, and review. We are produced at Executive Podcast Solutions. More episodes can be found on inspiringwomen.show. I am Laurie McGraw, and thank you for listening.